1. Background. So I have a semi-common Hispanic first name, but living in Midwest United States, people don't always pronounce it correctly. Generally speaking, I think of myself as being fairly flexible with how others pronounce it. If it is our first time meeting, I will say how it's pronounced, and as long as they get somewhat close to the pronunciation after a couple of meetings, I let it slide and acknowledge their efforts. If we've met multiple times and they still clearly make no efforts to pronounce my name correctly, that's when I start taking offense. This wasn't always the case, though. Before, I used to just acknowledge whatever people would call me. But after dealing with some identity issues in my teen years, like many of us do, and going to counseling, I learned to fully embrace my identity, including the correct pronunciation of my name, and was taught to stick up for myself as well. This story takes place when I was still making that transition. The story. In my teen years, while attending high school during freshman and sophomore year, I had a teacher who was a stickler for the rules. One of those that had been teaching for over 40 years had her system down and wasn't going to let anyone change her way of doing things. On the very first day of class, she handed out her rules and explained them to us. One of these rules included the attendance policy. Every day, right after the bell rang for class to begin, she would go through attendance, read off our name, and when we heard our name, we were to say present. Not here, not yes, or anything else, we had to say present. Not sure why she was a stickler for that, but whatever. I had this teacher for 2 years, and for almost 2 years she would pronounce my name incorrectly. What was more confusing is she would pronounce it incorrectly in different ways each time. During attendance, she would get to my name and pronounce it incorrectly. I would then say present, and my name is pronounced, and give her the correct pronunciation. She would then just go on to the next name, making no acknowledgement to what I said. This went on for almost 2 school years. I would also like to add that our school was on the smaller side, with classes averaging around 80 to 90 students per grade, and most teachers only focused on 1 to 2 grades. So the average teacher would probably have to work with 100 to 150 students, and by my sophomore year, every other teacher had started pronouncing my name correctly, or had already pronounced my name correctly from the very beginning. It was during this time that I started developing the aforementioned identity issues, and started going to counseling. The counselor pushed me to embrace who I was more and to stick up for myself as well, so that is exactly what I did. Cue malicious compliance. Close to the end of my second year with this teacher, I had had enough, and had also built up enough self-confidence to do something about it. The next day, she went through attendance and just completely butchered my name, so I did not say anything. Teacher looks around the classroom and sees me at my desk, mispronounces my name again. I do not respond. She says it louder this time. Have you forgotten the rules of this classroom? You are to respond with present when I call your name. I answered nervously, as I still wasn't all that great at sticking up for myself yet. Your rules say that we are supposed to say present after our name has been called. My name has not been called. Don't get smart with me. Then she mispronounces it again. That's not my name, That's it. I'm not putting up with this. Go to the office. Almost in tears, I head to the office, unsure of what I had done or in what kind of trouble I would be in. But here's the kicker. In between my freshman and sophomore year, we got a new vice principal. The new VP was Hispanic as well, and was fully aware of the counseling I was taking. I later found out as well that she was very active in the community, and was one of the city leaders in pushing for Hispanic rights and advancements. So I walk into the office and she is the first to greet me. I tell her what had happened and see her face slowly turn red with anger. She then attempts to regain her control, and tells me to go to her office and work on homework until my next class period. That she will talk to the teacher and to not worry about her. The next day, I walk into that class again, unsure of what to expect. The teacher simply begins her class without calling attendance and makes no acknowledgement of me. This continues for a week until we are informed that the teacher and the school board have agreed that she will be taking an early retirement before the end of the school year, and that we will finish off the class with a substitute teacher for the remainder of the year. There was a little over a month left in the year, so it ended up just being movies before a very watered-down final exam in the last week. Of course, the rumors through the school were that she was forced out and did not receive her full retirement, but I cannot confirm if any of those are true. I never saw her again, and went through the rest of my high school career slowly growing in confidence. 2. I graduated from high school this year. Big thing, obviously. Now, the thing is that I studied at an international school in Europe, so, as you might imagine, it's a pretty small establishment with pretty small classes. To set the scene, my class, which was the largest to ever graduate in my school, was made up of 18 people in total, that's it. So, plainly said, we're a pretty tight-knit group and have shared many memories together, not only in high school, but some of us throughout middle school too. Hence why it's tradition that someone makes a graduation video to commemorate all the years shared by the students throughout the years. Me, being the masochist that I am, I decided to volunteer to make the video, thinking how hard can it be? It's just 5 minutes with photo and video. Boy, was I wrong. From the get-go, I asked my classmates if they could send me photos and videos as well, as if we could vote on a song that everyone would be happy with. Of all the people in my class, about 3 sent me what I had asked them to, and pretty much nobody replied about the song. I tried pressuring them on one class group chat, but it was all in vain. At this point, it was Thursday the 2nd of June, and I had a pretty busy weekend ahead of me, and the graduation ceremony was set to be the following Friday, the 10th. And the deadline for the video was Tuesday the 7th, so I got working. On Thursday, I started drafting the structure of the video. I'm quite serious about video editing, and wanted to get in some practice, so I decided to do things seriously. Then I had to stop because my 11-year-old cousin was visiting, so at this point Thursday's gone by, and I now have Friday and Saturday morning to work on it. Great. Friday, I took the photos I received from my classmates and found some older ones on my PC in yearbooks, school archive, then proceeded to transfer all these files on my computer, and downloaded a song I thought was appropriate to put in the background. Rocket Man by Elton John. Then, between late afternoon and 3 a.m., I proceeded to edit 90% of the video. Saturday morning, I wake up rather annoyed. I jump in the car and keep editing for another 2 hours while I'm in the car with my family as we're driving to Milan to go to a concert. Finally, I'm done. I give it one last look, correct a few details here and there. It was excellent, because me being the perfectionist masochist that I am, not only did I make sure to make the video a nice commemoration of my class memories, no, I went above and beyond to have all the photos make sense chronologically. Have it well balanced between photos and videos, have smooth transitions, and even have it be perfectly synced with the music. So I export the file, upload it to my Google Drive, and share it with my classmates on WhatsApp. I wasn't expecting anything, especially because I could have decided to not send it to them in the first place, and leave it at that. But let's say that I would have appreciated a thank you at the very least. Nope. All I got in return was people complaining about the video being too serious and not liking the music. That pissed me off slightly, but I was nice about it and asked them what they had wanted changed. What I received in return was a series of requests including changing the song and including more partying. Now, you need to know that despite the small size of my class, there's still somehow an ever more tightly knit group within it that are pretty much the party animals, who coincidentally were the ones who complained about the video being too serious. Good for them. I asked them if they wanted me to redo it. They said yes. So I complied, but you see, I had an ace up my sleeve. So Sunday night, as I returned from Milan after spending the day with a friend whom I hadn't seen for over a year, who also went to see the concert, I get home at about 1 a.m. and get back to work. I took the song that they wanted and the photos and the videos that they wanted and just dumped them on a timeline of the video editor. It absolutely sucked. It was absolutely random and featured only the party animals. There was no glimpse of me or pretty much half the class in the entirety of the video. But hey, it took me just half an hour, and if that's what they wanted, then good for them. Now, obviously the video needs to be approved by the diploma program coordinator, and given that the second video I made featured quite a lot of drinking, partying, and literally only half the class, it got rejected immediately as I'd anticipated. So I told the coordinator I had also made another video which was perhaps more appropriate for the occasion. So guess what was shown and got a standing ovation at the graduation ceremony? Obviously the original video I made. Boom, like that. 3. I started working for a company as an administrative assistant, purchasing office supplies, routing paperwork, coordinating meetings, etc. A person on my team left, so I picked up their duties while my boss looked for a replacement. The interview process for the replacement started in March 2020, but it was not completed due to the pandemic. I continued to cover both jobs easily since my original position did not have a lot of work to be completed while working from home. My boss compensated me for the extra work at a 10% salary increase, and all was going well. As we navigated the pandemic and realized how to work efficiently from home, my positions picked up more and more duties. I was designated as the executive assistant to my boss's boss's boss, which added an additional part-time position to my role. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I was not happy doing the work of 2.5 people and bringing in a measly 10% salary increase. I started discussing growth options with my boss last September. She asked me about putting together a justification document as to why I deserved a growth path and promotion. I put something together within a few weeks. Doing 2.5 jobs kept me really busy and sent it to her. We discussed it at our next get-together, and she said she'd have to discuss it with her boss. Next time we meet, she asked me to put together another document on where I saw myself in 5 years. Okay, I put that together and sent it. Next time we met, she asked me to put together another document on the justification. I told her I was not going to keep pursuing these tasks if they aren't getting us anywhere. She said she'd discuss this with her boss. We're in February at this point, and I'm getting tired of being strung along when my boss finally sets up a meeting between her boss, and me. We met, I voice my frustrations, and they give me reasons as to why I am not entitled to a promotion. My boss said she already told me the reasons, but this was new information to me, and encouraged me to do some soul-searching. I start soul-searching. Am I really happy with this role? No. Do I feel supported by boss or upper management? No. Why do I want to stay here if I know I'm not going anywhere career-wise? Beats me. I start applying to different jobs within the company and externally as well. I am still working towards a promotion within my current position, but I can't get my boss to give me any timelines or a solid process to follow. We're now into April and have gotten nowhere. She is now asking me to look into different options other than a promotion, which do not follow the original path I wanted. The promotion would allow career growth options in my current positions. Pursuing the other paths led nowhere. I interview for another position under a different supervisor. While I wait to hear back in that interview, I have concluded that I am no longer interested in the promotion. It was now May, and we were still at square one. My boss sets up a meeting with HR to discuss what needs to be done for a promotion, which I feel like should have been done in September when we started this whole process. My boss made a comment that she never knew the process fully and wanted to follow all the rules. Great. We've been wasting my time for the last 9 months. Fantastic. Finally, some good news for me. I got the job. As soon as I knew I had the job, I told my supervisor I was resigning. She was dumbfounded. She made comments about how we could have moved past the problems we faced. We were working towards a promotion, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Everybody who interacted with my supervisor during my 2 weeks' notice said she was grouchy and didn't want to talk about my departure. She now had to figure out how to complete my 2.5 duties while finding my replacement. I started my new job, and due to when I started work in the morning and my new supervisor started work in the morning, I had some spare time. I was going to finish up some things. My new boss was super accommodating with that plan, but my old boss took away the access I needed. I gave her a detailed list of what I was unable to complete, and she granted me the access I needed to complete those tasks. Too late. I was already knee-deep in introductory meetings and no longer had the time to assist. It's been 3 weeks now, and I couldn't be happier. My old boss and team are falling apart due to my boss not being able to lead the team. An awesome new hire, 2 or 3 months of work for my old boss, is already looking for a new job due to being bait and switched. I know of more people who are fed up with the leadership in my old team, beyond my boss, who are also looking for new jobs. 4. A while back, around 2008-ish, I was working for a small outbound sales call center. I had gotten the job as a transitional position because I needed money while building my own business. A couple friends of my family worked there in management roles, so it was basically a hookup job anyway. I started as an outbound sales associate as we were contracted to sell identity theft protection for some very popular card brands and banks. These clients also provided the program with incentive money every month for us to spend on the employees who were selling their products. Remember this, it's important later. I have a background in management, so I was easily able to get myself moved from sales to team lead to program manager to operations manager in the span of about 8 months. By the time I made it to operations manager, we had opened another call center close by, and I was informed that my center would be shutting down, and we would all be moving to another program at the new call center when our contract was up. This was followed by a conference call with the clients and senior management. It was on this call that I learned the incentive money for the program even existed. Later I found out why. The previous managers had hidden this fact from me because they were, in fact, pocketing a large portion of this money. I learned that day that we were given about $10,000 a month just for incentives, and there was only about $2.5 mailing it to the employees for per cash sale incentives. I was heated, to say the least, at this point. This is where I get malicious. When everyone else in the building had moved over to the new place, it left only myself, my team, and one IT guy left in our building, which they planned to only keep for 2 months max. So I went to the branch manager, corporate Bob, and got the credit card for my program. He hassles me about what I'm going to buy, and I tell him, just a few prizes for employee incentives this month. To which he begrudgingly agrees and says something about receipts. Okay, Bob. I proceeded to tell my team leads to decorate the center in some circus-themed crap we found in the closet for the next day. The next day was the beginning of the new call cycle, which meant new money for incentives. I started a month-long campaign with our sales teams, and we got a bunch of fake toy dollar bills. Every time they made a sale that month, not only did they get their regular commission and whatever bonus we may have had going, they also got these fake dollars, which they didn't know what they were for, just that they needed to hold on to them until the end of the month. At the end of every week that month, we had carnival food of some type brought in. I'm talking funnel cakes, those long-ass corn dogs, jumbo turkey legs, etc. Now this whole time, Bob has been on my ass about the card and those receipts, but only via text, not email, which is required by the company for all business correspondence. This was odd because this was literally the only text that I ever got for him. But I kept delaying and delaying. I then sent an email out to everyone in management in the building to come over to our building on the last day of the month for a lunchtime special event. They all showed up, sans a couple of program managers, but all the upper brass was there. Let's rewind back to my shopping. Once I found out we were getting $10,000 every month and only spent about $2.5, I went to Walmart, Best Buy, Conn's, Cabela's, and more. I bought TVs, Blu-ray players, video game consoles, camping gear, barbecue grills, stereos, board games, and a bunch of smaller stuff. I spent over $7,100 in total. Flash forward back to the special event. I stopped all of our outbound calls and waited for the queue to clear. I then rolled out a cart full of prizes from the office and had all the salespeople come to take a look over them. Then I informed them we would be having an auction using all the fake money bills that they had been accumulating all month, and then sent them all to lunch. Senior brass circled me like the hyenas from Lion King at this point. I explained that I felt we had been underutilizing our incentive money, and since the program was nearing the end of contract, I wanted to incentivize the team to keep pushing through. I then handed Bob the receipts and went back to planning the auction. He and the other two were hot under the collar but couldn't express it. I still haven't seen that shade of red duplicated to this day. Here's the thing though, it fucking worked. The sales team went on to shatter every center's sales record for the next 6 months, staying open 4 months longer than expected. It sparked an investigation into the use of those previous funds. 3 people were fired and a couple more quit. The auctions continued every month. I got promoted over at the new building, but left soon after to move and focus more on my business. But not before I promoted my leads to management. 5. Let me tell you about how being a call lead led to 3 times more downtime. Where I live, appointments with some medical professionals are hard to get. A few days ago, my coworker was supposed to have dental work done. He was lucky to get his appointment in a very short time because his dentist had a cancellation. We're both the only members of our 2-people bureau. We do the same job and are the only ones doing it in the company. And this was supposed to happen during my first day of vacation. He advised HR that he had an appointment, but he scheduled it during his lunch break. It would perhaps make his break 1 hour longer than usual, but given the very low amount of actual work we do, that should not be a problem. And he can also stay later if needed. All seems good, until I get a call from Cowboy Dick, asking me if I can work on Monday to cover for my colleague. I'm not very happy about it because I already knew about the appointment. We usually check those kind of things between ourselves before going to HR, since there's only 2 of us and it's Friday already. I plan to start my vacation by an extended weekend. I know covering for Bob is useless. When he learns that, Bob writes an email, standard CYA procedure, to Dick, stating that the workload is historically low and that covering for an eventual maximum of 1 hour is useless. I'll summarize the next email exchanges. Cowboy Dick said, "Well, there must be someone on call at all times, so Joe will have to come in. It is useless since I'll be away for 1 hour at most. There must be someone on call at all times, just in case. I remind you it is company policy. Again, it's useless since I will be away for 1 hour at most during our slowest part of the day. I can also stay later to compensate if needed, and ultimately our actual workload is almost non-existent. Calamity Karen says she's slammed under estimates, and that the amount of prep to do Monday will be huge, so we'll definitely need to have someone on call." See, we all know that Calamity Karen is always slammed with utterly hard estimates from clients from hell. Or so she says. She is the kind to accept last-minute jobs even though the production team have already so much to do. They are on shifted schedules and maxing their overtime. She will still leave 5 minutes early today because it is her Aqua Zumba, CrossFit Yoga, motionless stretching day. Unfortunately, she is also considered an interim production leader by our boss. So in his absence, her word is law. And as far as Cowboy Dick is concerned, there is no way we would be under the water this Monday. We know it, she knows it, HR knows it. Everyone knows that everyone knows it, so my coworker does what you all guess he would and answers, "Okay then, I'll cancel my appointment so Joe can go on with his vacation." Someone is on call, and I can have my vacation. Thanks to Bob for complying to the letter of company policy. This fateful Monday, he had a grand total of 3 projects to prep for printing. We usually average 20 a day each, so you see, while being on call at all times was really essential. But what about the 3 times more downtime? Well, later this same week, Bob had to go to the dentist anyway since his tooth actually broke. So while I was at home in a hostile place without cell reception, he was gone almost 3 hours. The time needed for the dentist to do an emergency dental dressing, since he then had a second appointment to get another dressing that can last until his 3rd appointment in a few days, when he will finally have the initially planned work done. And since it is now a more urgent matter, he is not able to schedule those appointments as easily as before, and they all, unfortunately, happen during work hours. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge is Ice Cream, episode 154. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please hit the like button. Thank you. Right, let's see. Now, before I go, let's have Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, when you imagine animals talking, do they have accents, and which accents do they have? In my opinion, all cats are French. I will give no further explanation. Let me know what you think. Leave your answer in a comment below. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.